What is up, everyone? I am the Winner, and welcome to our game room. Today we're going to take a look at the game that came in ranked number 2 out of my top 123 games of all time. This game has been in my collection for a long time. A lot of people talk about this game even today, even with other games that have come out doing similar things to this game, but for me, nothing has overtaken it yet. And that game is an instrument box. And by that I mean it's Terraforming Mars. I put it in an instrument box so we have all the extra expansions, the Venus, the Prelude, the Colonies, the Turmoil. We have all the expansions. Before they came out with the big box, I went on Etsy and bought all these 3D terrain tiles, which, of course, you know, you go buy all that stuff and then all of a sudden a big box comes out with the 3D terrain tiles. But that's the way it happens. But still, I really love Terraforming Mars. Granted, it's a game that takes a little long. People have almost migrated to the Ares Expedition version, the card game. That one, I don't know why, it just didn't do it for me as much as I like card games, like you would think. That one didn't do it for me as well. Like, I feel like they were touting it as, oh my gosh, it cuts Terraforming Mars time down so much, but I don't feel like it did. I still feel like that was a couple-hour game. This one might take an hour and a half more. I feel like I'd just much rather play the Big Brother. Like, but in Terraforming Mars, as you probably well know, you're terraforming Mars. So you're drafting cards and buying cards and making a tableau of cards that give you abilities and give you tap abilities you can do once per turn, or give you a static ability, or give you just production on different production dials, and man, just making it all work and finding a way to get your engine together with the cards you have. It's just so satisfying. We almost get to the point now that we've played it so much that I'm drafting and I'm like, hey, you know, the guy next to you, do not let him get this card. Or they'll tell me the same thing as we go through. Just the meta game of playing with the same people over and over again, knowing what their tendencies are. Man, this game just keeps getting better. They just announced a Prelude 2 expansion, which, a weird name, but Prelude, I believe, is an expansion, just like most other people you shouldn't play without. It's like when you're playing a role-playing game and you're like, oh man, I'm not strong enough for this boss. I have to grind and grind and grind. It takes that grind out of the game. Like, in this game, the first 6 or so rounds are you trying to grind to get production to be able to actually do stuff and gain cards that can get the game moving forward. But the Prelude just goes, you could have your beginning of the game production. And it's like, oh, I don't have to do that grind quite as hard. That's awesome. Why did that, why wouldn't I play with this? Venus, it basically adds another board that you can score on, and the cards aren't anything that is too hard to understand. Colonies, it adds a little bit more. I don't mind playing with that one damn near every game. The only one I may choose not to play with every game is Turmoil. It adds a government system to the game. And it adds a little bit more fiddliness, but I don't want to call it bad, because I don't feel like it's a bad expansion. I feel like it's not entirely needed to enjoy the game. I understand what they're going for. It makes it a more robust experience and just drives home that theme even more, because if you're terraforming Mars and you're putting cities out in Mars, well, now you have a government. So I understand why that's there. I may not choose to play with it every time, but I do enjoy that expansion nonetheless. So yeah, Terraforming Mars has been around for a long time. A lot of people have talked about it, so I don't need to belabor the point too much. This went up one spot. I just enjoy this game every time I play it. One of these days I want to play Mega Terraforming Mars, which is basically taking all 3 sides of Mars, because they each have their own separate board. Taking all 3 sides, mixing 2 base games basically together card-wise, and just playing. My one buddy did it, said it took him like 7 hours to play, which I think one-time experience in that would be so much fun. This game takes 2 to 3 hours based on player count and based on how the players are playing, because I have a guy in my game group that just enjoys stacking up abilities and stuff, and he won't force in-game as much because he just enjoys the card play of the game so much that he doesn't really want it to end, which is fine, because in the end the other players really need to kind of push to in-game, because if it goes on for too long, he will win the game. That's just kind of how he plays, so you have to kind of keep that in mind. It plays 2 to 5. Obviously, if you play 5, it's going to go to the higher player count. They have a Terraforming Mars, the dice game coming. I backed that. I'm kind of curious about that. I'm kind of hoping it gives me what Ares Expedition was supposed to give me, where it gives me like basically half the play time, but the same feeling. I'm not sure how that's going to come through in dice. It looked interesting. The price point was pretty on point. I think you can even, if you go to the Kickstarter or whatever, you may be able to leap back it if it's something you're interested in. But man, I still can't get enough Terraforming Mars. That's my number 2 game of all time. So come back tomorrow. We will find out what the number 1 game is, according to me, of all time. So, as always, thanks for watching. Keep playing and keep winning.